everyone and welcome to this video. Now today I'm going to be taking a look at this album here. It's by a band called the Colourfield and it's their debut album, Virgins and Philistines. So yes, I'll just be doing the usual thing in this video, giving a bit of background information about the album, then showing you my vinyl copy of it here, and then looking at each of the album songs in detail. So the Colourfield were formed in 1984 after former Specials frontman Terry Hall parted ways with his second band, which was Funboy 3. He was always, like Terry Hall, very restless kind of like musician. Like he was always wanting to try and do something new and something fresh. Like he split up the Specials just as like Ghost Town became like their biggest hit, and like left like Funboy 3 like after only 2 albums and like numerous hit singles. Like as like they were just at the peak of their powers. Like because he wanted to go and try something else, try something different, and like that's why he formed the Colourfield. The other musicians like who joined him like in the band were Toby Lyons and Carl Shale, like who remembers of a group called Swinging Cats and like personal friends of Hall's. The sort of music that they took influence from ranged from sort of classic pop like of like the 60s and 70s to sort of like contemporary acts like such as Echo and the Bunnymen, like who sort of had a kind of like slightly sort of like menacing like sort of like darker edge like to like their songs. This album was released in 1985, but before releasing the album they put out a number of singles, however none really achieved like any great chart success like anywhere near like the same levels like of the Specials or Funboy 3. Like the singles what preceded the album included the Colourfield, and I think Take was another single like they released like as well, but all like didn't perform too great on the charts. The record was recorded at Stockport's Strawberry Studios, like which was I think still owned like by members like of 10cc like actually, and produced by Hugh Jones and Jeremy Green. I think part of the reason why the Colourfield never really like made it big was because they had such a diverse mix of styles and sounds, which proved like quite difficult to market like this album. Like it was like very much like a crowded scene that's on like the indie pop, like indie rock world, like off like the mid 80s. Like it was very hard like to like find great success like with all these other great bands that coming along. Like so like this record like did prove quite difficult to market. Like they only achieved like one like sort of like semi-hit single like with the opening track of this album, Thinking of You. But the record did actually do alright. It charted at number 12, which was 2 places higher than the last Funboy 3 album, Waiting. However, like I said, it didn't generate like the same hit singles which the album did. But the record did get though a positive critical reception because of its very timeless sound and like great quality songwriting, and like it's definitely one like which has endured like as like an underrated gem. Also worth noting, the album was released in 2 quite different versions like for the UK and the American markets. Like this copy here, like which I've got like is like the UK version, which has 10 tracks. The US version has 12, so it adds on 2 extra tracks. However, the sort of like the track listing like is kind of like mucked about. Like there's another 2 songs like which are on the UK version which aren't on the American version, and like I said, like so like the ordering like of like the songs like has been like messed about with as well. But because the songs which are on the American version are really really good, songs like the Colourfield and Pushin Up The Daisies, really quality songs, I think it is still worth talking about those tracks. So like, what I'll do like in like this review is talk about the UK album like in sequence, and then I'll look at the 4 tracks which are unique to the American album. So I won't show you my vinyl copy of it here. Like I said, the British copy, same cover though, like which is like quite interesting, like exact same cover art. Really like the cover though. Just think it's quite. I just like this picture like what's behind them there. Yeah, it's quite nice. Back of it just looks like that. Again, it's the exact same design like on the American version, but just a completely different track listing there. There's no fancy like in the sleeve of this one. I'm not sure like if it ever came with one originally. This was released on a Chrysalis label, so I'm not sure if this was the same label like as the Funboy 3 albums. I'm not too sure like if like he like if he had like a brand new contract like for like the Colourfields, or if it was just a sort of like a continuation like of like his like previous contract, like it just they're just releasing Teddy Hall like whatever format like he came in kind of thing. But like yeah, this is my vinyl copy of it here. Again, it's never been reissued at all like on vinyl, definitely one like which I think needs to be. But anyway, I want to go over each of the album songs. So like as I said, I'll look at the 10 tracks on the UK version and then the 4 tracks which were exclusive to the American version. So yeah, we'll just get started.
You ever think of me, I'll be thinking of you.
So the album opens up, or the UK version opens up with Thinking of You, which is quite a pleasant track. I think it works fairly well like as an album opener. This one here is a sort of like you've got a kind of nice calm like acoustic moods to this one here, quite long in lyrics like about thinking like of like a thinking about someone like he means something to you, like he's saying like I could be the one thing there in your hour of need. So if you decide to change your views, I'm thinking of you. It's a kind of like a duet like with a female vocalist called Katrina Phillips. So there's a nice sort of like they sing it like well together like Hall and Phillips, and like yeah, like this was quite a commercially successful song for them, reaching number 12 on the UK chart. So yeah, Thinking of You opens up the album pretty well. I would give that one a 9 out of 10. And then the next track up is called Faint Hearts, which is another, again, really, really good song. I like how this song, again, develops and changes throughout the track. Begins off very soft and slow, and then we get some really nice organ work on it, some great intense drums on it. It's got good momentum like throughout the track, and plus you've got an absolutely soaring vocal like from Hall like on it, especially like on the chorus line, like where he sings like brave words may be spoken, but words will still be broken. And like yeah, I just think it's a really good song, this one here. So I would give that one a 9 out of 10. Next up is called Castles in the Air, which I absolutely adore this song. I think it's just a really beautiful track. I really like the production and the arrangement on it, like the string backing works so well, like they work alongside the very sort of like yearning lyrics like on like the track, very vivid imagery like on it. He sings like, I really wanted her hair to touch her knees, I really wanted to share forgotten dreams. And I just like how the song again, it builds up throughout it. It starts off very sort of slow, and like yeah, like I just love the way like it develops, becomes more like intense, like both like in Hall's vocal performance and also the string backing. And this was chosen as one of the singles, and I must say it isn't a really commercial song. It doesn't really fit in like with what was happening in the mid-80s, and thusly like only reached number 51 on the charts. But I think it is a really, really great song, and well worthy of a 10 out of 10.
You just take.
We follow that up with a song called Take, which was another single from the album, and I think this is again another really, really, really great song. Again, I love the kind of different sections it goes through. Like I've read some reviews like of the album, like people say that this song's a bit messy, but I quite like it. Like I think like it works quite well. It starts off like with a really sort of like catchy like organ riff, like which reminds me a bit of say like something that the Charlatans would do like many years later. Just gets like your foot tapping, and like then it goes in a slightly different direction, like with quite like vulnerable lyrics like you just take and pile on the agony. Again, it shows a more sort of sensitive side like to Hall, like which she hadn't really like expressed like during the specials of Fun Boy 3. Again, you've got a really good like vocal arrangement on it, very intricate backing vocals. Like I believe like those are done by like Toby Lyons and Carl Shade, like the other two members like of the Colourfields. Again, they just sing so well together. But like I said, not commercially successful single. This one doing even worse than Castles in the Air, like only reaching number 70. So I think really underrated song, and yeah, again, well worthy of a 10 out of 10. And then the next track up, which closes off side 1, is called Cruel Circus. And this is quite a quirky song, this one here. It's a bit more, so I won't say politically, like lyrically, like, but like it's a bit more, sort of covers like a social issue, sort of like the cruelty like of the circus, but also kind of like animal testing and like blood sports. Like it's got like lyrics like on it like includes fur coats on ugly people, expensively dressed up to kill, in a sport that's legal within the minds of the mentally ill. So yeah, like he's again like sort of like touching like on like sort of like a social issue like on like this track here, but in a quite a catchy pop song though. But we have got like a menacing chorus like as well, like again quite like lowly. Like quite like lowly song, and like yeah, like I think it works like rather well. Like you've got a lot of like production quirks on it, including sort of samples like animal noises. Like plus like you've got a kind of like a sort of like a kind of playful like sort of like piano riff like on it. Gives it a kind of slightly novelty song kind of feeling to it. Like but like it's sort of like it is like sort of like supposed to be like the juxtaposition like of like the quite like joyful music compared to like the quite sort of scathing like lyrics like on the track. So I think it works well overall, and we'll give it an 8 out of 10.
Throwing yourself away.
Okay, and then the opening track on side 2 is Hammond's song, which I'm giving a 9 out of 10 to. Now, under any other circumstances, this song would probably be a 10 out of 10 because it is a beautiful song, great lyrics on it, and like just a, again, lovely calm atmosphere to it. But the reason why I can't give it a 10 out of 10 is because it is a cover, and that is just a personal like rule of mine. Like if like the song's like not like a original composition, then I can't quite give it full marks. But this one comes as close as you can get to perfect, though. Originally, this was done by a group called the Roaches. It's a kind of like they were kind of like a folk trio, I think. But I think their version is like looked it up like afterwards. I think their version's pretty awful, like of it, to be honest. I don't think they sing it like all that well. But this version of it though is just brilliant. It's again they just have such a nice calm version of it. Great atmosphere. It's very gentle, very poignant. Like just like exquisitely like understated. Reminds me a lot of like Simon and Garfunkel's best moments. Lyrically, the song like is about sort of wanting to prevent like a friend like getting dragged into like drug addiction, like I've read, and like I just think the production again like on this version really allows like sort of like the acoustic guitars to sort of sparkle and shine throughout it. But also like again like the harmony vocals between like the three like band members again just works so well. So as I said, this would have been an easy 10 out of 10 like had they wrote it. Unfortunately they didn't, and like so like it thusly like drops a mark, but it is still a really great song. It could potentially be my favourite on the album, but like as you've seen there are some other like real standout moments as well.
Still, my love, it's not the end.
Next track up is the title track, Virgins and Philistines, which is another delicate, gentle, acoustic, folky track. So this one maybe doesn't quite stand out as much as some of the other ones, especially coming after Hammond's song. But there are some like nice touches on it, nice use of the saxophone like on it. It gives it kind of like a new flavour like on this one here, and like again it is just another good demonstration of Hall's poetic and emotional songwriting. So this one would get an 8 out of 10.
You're sincerely, I will send you flowers in the
Next track up is called Yours Sincerely, which actually, like, notably, like, on like my chat listed, is actually out of sequence. It lists Armchair Theatre first and then Yours Sincerely, but when you actually play the album, it's Yours Sincerely, like, which comes first. So yeah, I'm not sure what the deal like with that is. But yeah, it's another soft acoustic track. This one here, again, it's pleasant enough, but maybe again a bit like the title track, doesn't maybe stand out as much as some of the other songs. It's just about sort of like being like let down like by a loved one. He sings I could have cried an ocean, such as my emotions, and like you don't know what you've done to me. I've turned into Mr. Misery, and like I quite like the bridge part like of the song, like where it kind of like we get a bit of, like a vocal breakdown. Like I believe like Katrina Phillips like sings a bit like on it like as well. So like yeah, it just gives it like a slightly different edge to some of the other songs. But overall, I would give it an 8 out of 10 because I think it is a good song still. Okay, and then the penultimate track on the original UK version of the album is called Armchair Theatre, and this one I like. It begins with a sort of quite bright like acoustic guitars on it and a really sort of like fun bouncy bass riff, and good lyrics like on it once again. And probably like the pick of the lines is like, you can take me for a ride but only if I get the window seat. I really like the changes of pace throughout the song, the changes of tempo throughout it, and like again like great backing vocal arrangement, and like also like how some brass comes in like towards the end like of this song as well. So yeah, Armchair Theatre, I can't think of anything wrong with it. I would give it a 10 out of 10.
Apology, so I'll say sorry. I hope it will do.
Okay, and then the closing track is another pretty good song. It's called Sorry. And again, it's another kind of sad, heart-longing song. Lyrics on it like, I was travelling to nowhere where I fell off the rails. I reached a new height on the sympathy scales. And just how like he hopes that like the word like sorry like will do, like kind of thing. It's a good song. Not really covering like any new ground like on the album, but I do like the guitar solo on it, like which bumps it up a mark, like I would say. So yeah, Sorry, a pretty good closer there. Would get an 8 out of 10.
My heart cries out, more baby, it feels so.
Okay, so now we'll look at the 4 tracks which were exclusive to the US version of the album. And the opener on the American album was I Can't Get Enough of You Baby, which is a cover song originally written by Denny Randell and Sandy Linzer, and it was covered famously by the Four Seasons and probably not so famously by Smash Mouth like a few years later. But yeah, the song itself has got a really sort of 60s vibe to it. This really nice persistent organ like throughout it, and it was the only track from the album to get any real airplay like in like America. Like I'm not sure like if like they issued it like as a single there like or like what, but like yeah, like it is a good song though. Like nothing earth shattering. It's kind of just a good homage like to good quality like 60s pop. Like but like I said, I'm kind of glad it wasn't on the UK version of the album because it doesn't really fit like with the rest of the songs. Like I think it works well like as a standalone single like or like a bonus track like in like this case.
You're pushing up the daisies, pushing up the daisies, pushing up the daisies.
Okay, and then the next track up on the American album, so the second track, again, is unique to it. It's called Pushin Up The Daisies, and I think this song is brilliant. I love, again, the riff it opens up with. It's got a kind of like a powerful like guitar riff. I swear it's been used like on like an advert like in like the UK, because like when I was kind of like just getting like into like the Colourfields, like so like first hearing their songs, as soon as this one came on, I felt that I'd recognised it like from somewhere. But like believe it or not, this song was only ever a B-side like in the UK, issued as the B-side to the song Take. But yeah, I think it is like lyrically really good. It's kind of like a look like at like a withering like stardom, like sort of like going like sort of like slowly falling down like the fame scales and like being like in that music business. Once again, you've got great production on it, and I just think it's a really good song. And like yeah, like a real shame it wasn't on the original album. Next track up, which is unique to the American album, is the Colourfields, which was their first UK single, and I think again should have been on the album. Would have made absolute sense to like have like put it on, like I feel, because this was like the first song like I heard from them, and basically the whole reason like why like I discovered this band is because someone pointed out a similarity between this song and a song released by Noel Gallagher last year called Rattle and Rose. And I must say that when like you hear like the two songs, they are pretty much identical, to be fair, like in terms like of like not only like their production like and like instrumentation, but also sort of like the melodies like of like the song as well. Like it was definitely like Rattle and Rose is definitely like a rip-off like of like this one here, but what I did find in it was a great band like to discover. And like yeah, like this song just like so like drew me in, like Hall's like again like great vocals, great sort of like Echo and the Bunnymen style production on it, and yeah, I think should have been on the album. I think would have made a great opening track, like because as good as Thinking of You is, it doesn't really sort of like hit you like as like an opening track, whereas this song definitely does. So yeah, the Colourfields would get a 10 out of 10 from me.
Where are the angels now that I need them?
Okay, and then the final track, which is unique to the American version, is called Your Love Was Smashing, which was in the UK the B-side to Castles in the Air, and like in like America was plonked onto the second side of the album. And I would say the song is kind of what we have sort of come to expect like from like the Colourfield. You've got really nice guitar playing throughout it, like really nice like guitar tone on it, and like yeah, like overall just a really good song. And maybe in terms of lyrics, it's not quite as poetic or like emotive or as good as some of the stuff which made it onto the album, because it kind of like it rocks a bit more, this song here, like so like more like prominent drums, but like as there's slightly banal lyrics, like he sings like, yes, I loved you more than anything, I needed you more than anything. So it doesn't really say much, this song. Like I said, like so it doesn't match like so like the poetic quality of many of the original tracks, but musically this song's great. I love the instrumental break, like in it, like where like the tempo like increases, like again it just shows that their like creativity like in like the studio, like so like coming up like with so like quirky like arrangements and stuff. Like I'm not sure like if like they were a big touring act like at the time, that someone like a bit more knowledgeable like should be able to tell me like in like the comments like if like they ever like toured like or played live. But I certainly get the sense that like a lot of these songs like would have been quite difficult to like replicate live. But like anyway, yeah, so Your Love Was Smashing would get a 9 out of 10, and like concludes like my look at every song individually. Okay, so when we tot up those scores and give an average percentage to the album, it scores 90%, which is a really great score. Definitely makes this for me one of the classic albums of the 80s. I think what makes it great is just the timeless songwriting on it, the timeless production on it. It's lush, but it's not overproduced like by like any means, like not like overblown, like I don't think. And although it didn't really capture the public's imagination like at the time, I would certainly say time has been kind to this album, and like also just like the whole like so like the Colourfield style like of music. Like it definitely still has a lot of like contemporary appeal, and like I think like is ripe for like rediscovery, like either through like a vinyl reissue, like or like some like deluxe CD version of it. And yeah, like I think like they're underrated as well because of like the other musical achievements like of like Terry Hall, like sort of like they are kind of like forgotten about, like the Colourfields, like when like you sort of like think like about like Terry Hall, like people just go straight to the specials like in Fun Boy 3, but I prefer like the Colourfields like to like both of those bands. Like again, like I've tried listening like to like so like Fun Boy 3 like on the specials, and though they're good, I personally rate the Colourfields like a lot better, and it's probably just because I'm more of a fan of this style like of music. If I was to compare it to like anything, I'd say probably Prefab Sprout or like Aztec Camera, like those sort of bands. Like so, like it's got a similar sort of like vibe to it. And like yeah, like I just think it's well played, polished pop music, like with like a unique and like so like charismatic like frontman like singing like the songs. So yeah, the Colourfield. Great album here, like one definitely worth checking out. Yes, I hope you have enjoyed this review, and I will see you all next time for the next video. Goodbye.
And the thunder in my heart is no